Thumbnail sketching is one of my favorite tools when it comes to planning and organizing my sketchbook pages. Essentially, these are small, quick sketches that help me map out ideas before diving into a full spread in my sketchbook. They're perfect for figuring out composition, layout, and how elements will work together on a page. By using thumbnails, I can plan out my sketchbook spreads, make sure everything feels cohesive and visually balanced. Plus, it saves me time and energy because I'm not committing to details until I know the overall layout works. Thumbnail sketches are a game changer when it comes to planning out your artwork. These are tiny, quick sketches, usually just a few inches wide, that help you get a feel for the composition and layout without diving into all the details right away. Unlike full sketches or finished pieces, thumbnails are more about rough ideas and overall structure. You're not worrying about precision or perfecting any one element. It's more about getting the basic shapes and ideas down on paper. Artists use thumbnails when they're in brainstorming phase, trying to figure out how different elements will fit together on a page. For example, if I'm planning a wildlife scene, I'll do several thumbnails to see how I want the animals to maybe interact with the landscape. Or another time I use thumbnails is when I'm organizing a sketchbook spread. It helps me see how the sketches on one page might flow into the next page. It's a low pressure way to experiment with ideas and find the most visually pleasing setup before moving forward with a full drawing. One of the biggest advantages of thumbnail sketching is how much it helps with planning the layout of a page. When I'm working on a sketchbook spread, thumbnails let me play around with where I want different elements to go without committing right away. This makes it so much easier to test out compositions and find the best one before diving into the final drawing. It also improves the overall flow of the page, ensuring everything feels balanced and well paced. If I'm working across multiple pages, thumbnails help me see how one sketch will lead into the next. For example, if I'm working on a long accordion sketchbook, creating a more cohesive spread in that style of sketchbook, even on a normal sketchbook, it helps to figure out how one drawing bleeds over the center between the pages into the other. This process saves a lot of time too. Instead of redrawing something or getting stuck on an idea that doesn't work, I can quickly explore different options in a low pressure way. By the time I start the actual drawing, I've already got a solid plan in place, making everything go smoother and faster. When I'm planning out my sketchbook pages, especially for larger projects like a 2-page spread and trying to get a whole sketchbook to feel cohesive, I always start with thumbnails, maybe on a scratch sheet of printer paper or something that is not in my sketchbook. And it's a great way to visualize how everything will come together before I commit to any final sketches. Here's how I do it. First, I draw a few small rectangles in my sketchbook or on a scratch piece of paper, each representing the 2-page view I'll be working on. Then I quickly sketch out ideas for how different elements will fit together, keeping things loose and simple. I might try placing key drawings in different spots, experimenting with where I want the focus to be and how I'll balance out the space with supporting details. For example, if I'm working on a travel sketchbook, I'll use thumbnails to map out where I want to include landscapes or portraits or small detail sketches of the trip. I can see if the elements flow nicely together, creating a visually pleasing layout across the pages. And I'll remember these thumbnails when I'm in the zone of actually drawing in my travel sketchbook. Or when I'm doing a wildlife illustration series, thumbnails help me decide how I want to have the animals and environment interact. Maybe a large sketch of a tiger on one page and a smaller study of jungle plants or textures on the opposite page. By using thumbnails for planning, I can fine-tune the composition early on, making sure the spread feels cohesive and balanced from the start. Thumbnails are an awesome way to spark creativity and capture ideas quickly. Whenever I have a fleeting idea or inspiration strikes, I use thumbnails to jot it down before it slips away, before I forget about it. And these small sketches let me get the essence of the idea on paper without having to commit too much time or detail right away. They're perfect for exploring different variations of a concept too, whether it's testing out angles, trying different poses, or playing with compositions. Instead of getting stuck on one approach, I can sketch out a few thumbnails to see what works best, and it gives me the freedom to experiment without feeling tied down. Thumbnails are also super helpful for color planning. I'll often use them to test out basic color schemes, quickly shading in different sections to see how colors might interact on the page. It's a low pressure way to experiment with color choices before fully committing to a more detailed final drawing. Whether I'm working on a full scene or just figuring out how colors might look in a smaller study, thumbnails give me the flexibility to try new things and refine ideas before diving in. If you're ready to start using thumbnails in your sketchbook, here's a simple step-by-step process that I use to get the most out of them. First, I start small. The key to thumbnails is keeping them small and manageable. I usually start by drawing tiny boxes or rectangles on my scratch sheet of paper or like a throwaway sketchbook that I don't mind really messing up. And these act as placeholders for larger sketches. I'll eventually do. So don't worry about details here, just focus on blocking out space and getting a feel for the layout. And the next step is to experiment. Now that you have your boxes, it's time to play around with different compositions and arrangements. Try sketching out various versions of your idea, testing different angles, poses, or layouts. This is your chance to experiment freely, so don't be afraid to try out something unconventional or completely new. Step 3, I want you to expand on those ideas. Once you've landed on a thumbnail that feels right, it's time to develop it into a larger drawing. Use the thumbnail as a guide to scale up the composition, adding in more detail as you go because you've already done the planning work and the thumbnail. So with a larger drawing, it should feel more structured and intentional now. Now I want you to refine the spread in your sketchbook. Finally, think about how the entire spread comes together. Use your thumbnails to plan how lines, shape, and color will balance across the page. Whether it's a single sketch or a 2-page layout, the thumbnails help ensure everything flows visually, creating a cohesive, polished look in your sketchbook. So when it comes to thumbnail sketching and planning out your sketchbook, the key is to keep things simple and loose. Don't get caught up in adding too much detail. This stage is all about roughing out ideas quickly. You can use either a pen or pencil for your thumbnails. The medium isn't important as long as it lets you work fast and stay flexible. One trick I love is creating multiple variations of a single idea. This helps me explore different angles or compositions without overcommitting to any one approach too early. Finally, once you start filling in your sketchbook page with more detailed drawings based on the ideas that you've created from your thumbnails, make sure to refer back to your thumbnails. They act as a guide, ensuring your design stays consistent and well thought out as you expand on your original idea. Incorporating thumbnail sketches into your sketchbook process is a simple yet powerful way to improve your planning and create a more cohesive, visually balanced look in your sketchbook. By using thumbnails, you can experiment with different compositions, layouts, and ideas before committing to a full drawing, making the overall process smoother and more efficient. I highly recommend giving thumbnails a try as part of your regular sketchbook routine. They're a great tool for exploring creative ideas quickly and refining your sketches for a more polished result. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.